Welcome to Behind the Lash Chair. I'm your host, Alexis Weisenburger, founder and owner of AW Lashes. My goal is to help you as a lash artist grow with tips and tricks on lashing, becoming an entrepreneur, marketing, and so much more. This is an amazing place to find free resources and connect with lash artists all around the world. Let's get started.
Hi, everyone. This is Christine Tanner, co-owner of AW Lashes. I am so excited to be here with everybody today. We have got a special treat for you. Today, we are talking about Instagram Reels. With all the changes to the Instagram algorithm, they are pushing more and more video content. And so knowing how to do Reels, posting Reels, using Reels in your Instagram feed is becoming more and more crucial. So today with us are two of our amazing content creators that work with AW Lashes to help us generate Reels. And that is Fayth Hand. She is Flawless by Fayth on Instagram. She owns her own little studio and does lashes in Fort Collins. And also Mikesell. She works at the Wink, the Lash Lounge in Fort Collins as well. And they are both amazing at creating Reels. And also with us is AW's Karanda, who does all of our social media posting. So say hi, guys.
Hi.
Hello. Okay, so Meg, I'm going to quickly let you just give everybody a quick little introduction and background, and then Fayth will do that with you, and then let's just jump right into Reels.
Yeah, perfect. So I've been lashing for about 3 years now. I work at Wink the Lash Lounge, and it is an awesome place to be. I love doing lashes, and I've been working with AW for a little over a year now, which is just the best environment. It definitely has helped like with my page and my confidence in lashes, which I think is probably the best part of it. And it's just a fun atmosphere to be in.
Great. Thanks. Okay, Fayth, you're up.
So I've also been lashing for 3 years now. I've been working and using AW products for about 2 years when you guys first opened in 2020. And same thing, it has helped my confidence. Working with AW has helped so much by just making me feel confident in my work and giving me a group of people to kind of hype me up and get me excited about lashing again, especially with being a solo artist and being by myself. And yeah, I'm excited.
Oh, you guys are the best. We absolutely love you guys. So as I mentioned in the little opener of this podcast is that both Fayth and Meg help us as co-content creators on Instagram and help us actually create Reels for AW, but then also they are both amazing and create their own Reels. And so we just thought they would be absolutely perfect to just jump on here and to help talk about Reels and what you can do to help boost your engagement and your following and to stay current with the Instagram algorithm. So, okay, guys, first thing, if you could think of like one tip just to start us off with, what would you say to someone who's like afraid of creating Reels or is just kind of nervous and doesn't know what to do? What's like the first tip you would give them?
I think you have to be okay with making yourself feel awkward. Like when you're recording a reel, every time I do it, I'm like, this is so awkward. Like you're trying to either put your voice to this words of the sound or you're trying to like act or whatever it is, it's awkward. And so I think knowing that everybody who's making a reel feels a little bit awkward when they're making it, but it's the in production, like no one is thinking about how awkward it is when you're watching it. It's just awkward in the making stage and you just have to get past that. And by showing your personality, I think that really helps your engagement as well.
So do you...
Same thing.
Yeah, go ahead, Fayth.
Yeah, I was going to say just being uncomfortable and being okay with like being uncomfortable and getting out of your comfort zone, because the more you push yourself to be uncomfortable and not overthink it and just press post and just go about your day as if nothing changed and just pressing post. And if you overthink it and you don't post it, then you're never going to post.
I love it. So here's a question. Is it easier to have an audience, like have a friend there to help you record it, to be able to react to and with, or is it easier to just like make a fool of yourself by yourself?
By yourself.
By yourself.
And there you go. I've always wondered.
I've tried a few times, like with friends, and it always just seems 10 times more awkward than if I was making it by myself.
And everyone records things differently too. So like no one knows your angles or like your good side. And so being able to record yourself and re-record it and look stupid in front of yourself is different than like doing it with someone else.
Absolutely.
So, okay, both of you have had reels that have just like taken off and even gone viral to a certain extent. Like, how did you, I've heard a lot about like trending sounds. Like that's a big thing, is like find a trending sound because that helps it go viral. How did you guys like pick your reels to help you do those things? Like, how do you pick them? What is the creative process?
So I would say it depends. Sometimes I like to listen to music and like watch reels with intention and like keep my mind open to ideas, but sometimes I'll use a trending sound. And you can tell what a trending sound is on Instagram Reels. If you look at the bottom left-hand corner, if it just has like the music symbol, it's not trending, but if it has an up arrow, that means that it's a trending sound and you can use that. But sometimes I'll just use random sounds that I think would be perfect for a video.
Yeah, I think I kind of do the same thing. If I'm doing a reel where it's like maybe just showing off their lashes, I'm using a sound that maybe fits better with it. And then if I'm doing one that's more like I'm trying to be funny or trying to give like those like lifestyle ones, I'll definitely use a trending sound for those ones. I think trending sounds and probably even filters would be the biggest way to kind of expand your audience when you're posting a reel besides just your followers seeing it.
So what is your like process then? Okay, so we kind of just talked about how you pick music or trending sounds and things like that. But like do you create one at a time? Do you like kind of set aside a day? What's your process? Like, give us some tips and things like that about creating them.
Totally. I think I usually do mine. I usually kind of sit down and I will be just on like the reel page on Instagram, finding some sounds and getting inspiration from what other people are doing, especially if it's like a trend going on. Getting ideas from that and then kind of just taking some time aside from that and being like, how can I apply this with my business? And how can I apply this with lashes? Like, how can I make this content that this other person posted that went viral? How can I make something that's just like that and use that as my inspiration, but also attract like my correct audience? So I think knowing your audience and knowing like what you're trying to push out is also a really big thing.
Well, and
I agree.
Yeah. And you just touched on something too, Meg, right there. You talked about your correct audience, because you can have a reel go viral, but that doesn't necessarily equate to, more clients or potentially more students when you're an educator or those types of things. So how do you, make sure that you're hitting your right audience? And have you found a way to hit your correct audience? And have you seen growth on your Instagram feed?
Yeah, I definitely do think I have seen growth on my Instagram feed since I started creating reels. I was kind of late to the reel trend on like making them. And once I started, I definitely gained a larger following. But I think at first I maybe wasn't pushing it out to the right people because I was getting all of these random like male followers from different countries. And I was like, this isn't going to help my booking. This isn't going to help my clientele. And I still notice whenever I post a video and it's like of one of my lash girls and they look super good, I still notice that my attraction still kind of goes to that. But when I'm posting a reel that's like funny, and I'm specifically talking about lashes, I have noticed my engagement being more lash accounts, like other artists are following me, girls in the area are following me. So I think using like your location and hashtags are also a good way to kind of set that focus of where you're trying to send that reel out to. I think that kind of helps put it in that one spot.
Fayth, what's been your experience?
Kind of the same thing. I like to hone in on like using specific hashtags so that way it reaches people who are either getting lash extensions or lash artists too. So I try to like use specific hashtags, use different locations on my reels as well, and using sounds that other artists are using, whether that's like hairstylists too, and using that to our advantage of being able to hit the right audience. I think hashtags are a really big one.
I completely agree.
I think another thing too that helps a lot with like finding the right audience is if you have like a model that's in the video, or if you do a video like with somebody else, like with a company, say you used our products, or like you could tag the lash lounge that you're at or your photographer. If you add them as a collaborator, then it shows up on your page and it shows up on their page. So you get double exposure because both of your followers will see it. And then it's more likely that it'll get into the right hands or get seen by the right people. So I think as often as you can, I know that some people don't like the look of it because it makes your feed look messy. You can always go back and change the cover photo for a reel to match both of your profiles. But I would say as often as you can, add a collaborator too, because you're just getting your work in front of more people.
Totally.
Definitely. I think that doing the collaboration has helped my reels reach bigger audiences ever since we started collaborating with AW on reels. I feel like every time they're just seen by double the amount of accounts, and it's definitely helped so much.
Completely. It definitely has expanded like my views. I can tell like which ones I've posted with AW and which ones I have posted solo, and usually the ones that I post with AW do get more engagement, which is really nice.
How do you guys stay on top of trends? You mentioned a little bit about how you see a trending song, by looking down in the corner where the music is, and if it's an up arrow or if it just lists the song. But how do you stay on top of the trends? Like, how do you stay current and relevant so that your reels are seen more in the Instagram algorithm?
So I sometimes feel like TikTok starts trends a little bit sooner than Instagram starts trends. So I would say just like constantly scrolling and looking at hashtags and going to certain like trends on TikTok and continuing to scroll, and same thing with Instagram, just scrolling through your feed and it'll automatically give you what you're looking for. So like my feed is constantly lash reels or lash artists, and the more you're scrolling, the more they're going to pump out to you, and you're going to continue to see a lot of the same songs and videos that other artists are using.
For sure, things definitely trend on TikTok before Instagram. Have you seen those memes that are like, it's on TikTok today, next week it's on Instagram, and then in 7 years it'll be on Facebook? Like, I laugh at those so hard. But a tip that I learned from another content creator that's really smart is if there's a sound that's trending on TikTok and you've only seen it on TikTok and it hasn't made it to Reels yet, let's say it was a sound that was done by like, I don't know, Bella Porch or something. You go to her Instagram, and usually people will share content both to TikTok and Instagram if it's relevant to both. So you can find it from that content creator on Instagram if they've shared their TikTok, and then use that sound on Instagram before it's trending on Instagram. And that's how they'll really like take off.
Right. I agree.
So speaking of TikTok, do you guys both have like TikTok accounts as well? And do you multi-purpose your reels? Do you post them to Instagram and TikTok?
I have both of them set up, but once I started using Reels, I kind of stopped using my TikTok. But I would say get like a lot of my inspiration from TikTok because the trends go on there sooner. But I definitely don't use it to my advantage of posting on both like I should.
I would say the same. I have both of them. I post to Instagram Reels more than I do on TikTok, but I keep my TikTok for inspiration and what's going to be trending, but I don't use it as often because my audience and my views hit a lot more on Instagram than they do on TikTok.
That's what I was just going to ask next is like, do you see results from TikTok? I mean, I know there are some people who have gone viral on TikTok as well and things like that. But do you see when you have like been better about posting or when you have posted on TikTok, do you see that result in like an increase in your clients or awareness in your general area? Or does that take place more on Instagram?
I think it honestly takes place a little bit more on Instagram. When I was posting on TikTok frequently, I don't feel like my engagement, say on my Instagram and my booking was affected very much.
Mm-hmm.
Like it doesn't maybe target your audience as well. It's a little bit broader where Instagram kind of focuses it in on your exact location. So I think Instagram has been better at building my business for sure.
I think that TikTok is awesome for ideas and it's great for content, like curating. But Meg, I think was that you that was just talking, you hit it on the head that like its community aspect for a physical location quite yet isn't as great. You can't shop as easily on TikTok for smaller businesses like ours. And there's not like the book now button like there is on Instagram right in your bio that's as easy for people to get straight to your booking website or like send you a DM. All of those things are available on TikTok, but they're not quite as user friendly yet. I think that like within the next few years, if TikTok stays around, that like their business capabilities will be a little bit better. But for now, it's more of like an idea bank. And Instagram is doing a lot to keep up with them, but I don't think TikTok is doing as much to keep up with Instagram's like business capabilities.
I agree.
Well, so here's a question too, as we're talking about different formats. What about Facebook? I know you guys were just joking around about like 7 years later it'd be on Facebook, but let's face it, there's a lot of older women who want lashes and who can afford lashes because it is a luxury service. So you tend to see, you know, some young girls who have more of that disposable income and then older women who want to come in and get their lashes done. So do you automatically post all of the reels and content you're creating to Instagram, also to Facebook to help reach that audience as well?
So when I Instagram, you can set it up as like a business profile and log into a business page on Facebook. So whenever I post on Instagram, it automatically posts on my Facebook. But I don't do too much about like using my Facebook as much as it just automatically posts. So that way anybody who's friends with me or follows my Facebook account can still easily see my work, but it's not as personalized.
I would say the same. I post to my Facebook from my Instagram, but I don't keep up with posting specifically to Facebook. And I'd say the benefit to Facebook, not necessarily using my business page, but being a part of other lash groups. And I think the group aspect on Facebook is a benefit, but I don't really post too much aside from Instagram onto my business page specifically.
But you both do automatically post to Facebook so that you do get that crossover with the different generations and potential client pools.
Yes,
definitely.
It's funny how things have like changed because Facebook vertical videos like are only just now starting to do well. But I don't know if you guys remember, for such a long time, Facebook had a very horizontal layout because it was more for desktop. And even still, like when you log into Facebook, a lot of the videos will pull up horizontally. So they don't have the same aesthetic look as like Instagram and TikTok, because now more phones are taller than they are wider. So most of the videos that we film up and down. Like you show a lash set that's like up and down, or you make a funny video that is vertical rather than horizontal. And so I think batching content and repurposing them in both places is good. But up until very, very recently, I don't think a lot of videos have looked as good on Facebook and YouTube until now that they have like the little like Facebook Watch and like YouTube Shorts, which are also meant to copy like TikTok and Reels. So it's kind of starting to pick up. But I do think that for a long time, videos didn't look as great on Facebook feeds because the top and bottom were getting cut off.
Definitely.
How much time per week do you dedicate to generating reels and your content?
I don't spend a lot of time necessarily. Like mostly what I'll do is if I have like a 30-minute gap in between clients, I'll try to utilize that and take a little bit of a break and make a reel or two. So I try to just incorporate it throughout my day and just fit it in and not overthink it. Because if I'm overthinking it and try to set time aside to make a reel, it doesn't turn out as good versus being just like spur of the moment and being like, okay, I have like 30 minutes in between clients. I'm just going to make a couple of reels and then put them in my drafts.
I think being spur of the moment is really important, because I do agree when you plan them out, you maybe put a little extra pressure on yourself and you're like, this has to be perfect. I have to look perfect. And usually when I've set time aside, those reels don't do as well. I would say, honestly, the ones that probably do the best are the ones that I make on my 30-minute lunch breaks, like in my car or in a random location like that when I have just a little chunk of time. But then as well, setting time aside, like in the evenings, like just maybe like 20 minutes or so here and there of just like looking at the reels and kind of seeing like what's going on, just so I can go ahead and start getting some of those ideas flowing in my head, so that when I am ready and I have a little break in my day of lashing, that I can go and film that content and still be up to date with the trends, but not focusing too much on it has to be perfect. I have to look perfect. Like at the end of the day, none of that matters.
I think for real, the algorithm knows like what you spent the most time on and then what you spent the least time on, because I'm always so freaking mad that I'll spend like so long hours editing this reel, putting effects on it, making the text look really cute, and then it'll get no likes. And then, well, I mean, a few, and then I'll put together a reel, like you said, like in my car or in the parking lot, or like just me mouthing a dumb sound while I'm like wearing a hoodie, and then they blow up. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So there's no surefire way to say like what is and isn't going to blow up. But I do feel like you're more authentic and more genuine in the moment.
Totally.
Yeah, I think just being able to be spur of the moment and just not overthinking it is really important, because the more you overthink it, it's just not going to be authentic.
So do you guys spend a lot of time editing your reels? You guys both said that you watch a lot on TikTok to get ideas, but then how much time do you spend editing or doing any finishing touches or adding any sounds or effects or filters or anything like that to them?
The most I've probably taken editing a video is maybe 30 minutes. That's like when I'm really trying to put together a good video, but it usually only takes me about 5 minutes. I'll record the video. If it's not perfect, I re-record it until I get it right. And then it doesn't take long to edit a reel. That once you get Instagram reels down and you know what you're doing and you just play around with it and mess up a few times, you can edit a video really quick, honestly.
I don't think it takes me very long at all. I would say the longest part is definitely like timing your words. Like if you're putting a text on the reel, going through and like setting when you want your text to pop up is probably the hardest part, because it takes the most time. But I try to spend no longer than 5 minutes, unless I think the only ones I've probably spent more time on is like with the AW photo shoots, when there's just a ton of content that you're trying to pack into this like 15-20 second video, and like editing those take longer. But the ones that I film just on the spot are usually quick and done within 5-10 minutes.
So editing, that brings up a whole different thing. Fayth, you were mentioning that, you know, just getting in there and playing around with it and messing up a few times. I love that. But are there specific buttons or specific like tricks to editing that you've learned that might be easy to share?
Oh my gosh, I don't know like specifics what I would be able to share. I do have tips and tricks of like sharing certain things to your stories and how to get more engagement on that. But as for like editing reels, you really just have to figure out how to use it and play around with it a ton of times with different videos to kind of get the hang of it. It just takes playing with it and getting used to how to use it.
Meg, do you have any like specific things that you've learned doing reels that are just like something that's kind of second nature now that you just do it without even thinking about?
Not necessarily, no. I agree with Fayth. I think you kind of have to honestly just get in there, play around with it, because it's set up very, very user-friendly and very easy. So it's just knowing, do you want your videos timed perfectly to this sound? Okay, that's going to take a little bit more time, but it is also going to look better. So it's just like little things like that you just have to take the time to tweak, and you kind of figure that out over time as well. But I know I also have made several reels like just for fun, and they've never been posted, but it was just great practice. And so I think even on like a personal account, maybe nothing to do with lashes, like you can take time aside and plan out a new reel and really get in there and get creative with it and just kind of see how it works without putting the pressure of like your business out there at first. And I think that is really helpful as well.
I think that like when it comes to editing reels, less is more. I see some reels that they have tons of filters, and then there's like little emojis on the screen or things. Sometimes we do that in an attempt to draw attention away from yourself. If you're like, oh, I don't love my skin that day, or this shot wasn't amazing. And then it kind of just ends up looking really crowded and really cloudy. So I think even if it's not your favorite day, or you don't think you look great, like I would never recommend trying to cover yourself up or filter everything so highly to the point that it is just, you can't even tell what you're looking at because you're so distracted by everything that's going on. What somebody recommended to me is put on, 3 or 4 different filters and then go back to no filter or whatever. Cause then you'll be like, oh, this one actually looks good with nothing on it. Sometimes you kind of need to just take off some of the extra stuff, some of the fluff, kind of make it a little bit more minimal, because that is, people like straightforward, funny, personal content. Like you don't need to make flashy. Like you're not trying to make, a M. Night Shyamalan film. This isn't going to a film festival. It's just like a reel.
I would definitely say being yourself is the best, because you'll attract your right audience by just being yourself. The more you try to be inauthentic, you're not going to attract the right people.
Yes. Or like if it's very obvious that you're copying somebody else's style, people will say, oh, I've absolutely seen that reel before on like another salon's account. Definitely do things that you admire, but don't try and do somebody else better than they're doing themselves,
So here's a question specific for the lash industry. So a lot of the reels, and Meg, you talked about this earlier, a lot of times, a lot of the reels are having clients open their eyes, or, of a set start to finish, or a beginning, a before and after, and kind of featuring the lashes, which absolutely makes sense because you're trying to attract more clients. When you're doing those, how do you get your clients to participate? Are they just willing to do it? Do you have a waiver that you use for them? Do you just ask their permission? Do you give them a discount? What's your normal process with that?
Totally. So at our salon, when a client first comes in, on their like initial waiver that they sign, there is like a photo release on there. So we'll sign away the photo release if they would like to. And then after that, usually most of my girls are totally down for having their picture taken and are all about it. So I'll take them. We have a ring light and like a little corner set up. So I'll take them over there. And so I usually just tell them to kind of like flutter their eyes a little bit, throw in a wink, like just do a soft smile. And then the more times I have recorded them, the more natural they are behind the camera for me. So I think it's all just about obviously asking their consent, because not every time do they want their picture taken, but it's also, I feel like a lot of times they're totally willing to do it.
Same. My clients sign a photo release on their consent forms, and a lot of my clients have found me through Instagram. So a lot of them get excited when I want to take a picture or take a video or before and after. So they already know coming in that it could be an opportunity like that I am going to record. So I typically ask them, like, are you okay if I record a before and after? And I've never actually had someone say no. Everyone's actually pretty excited about it. And I just make sure that they're comfortable with the angles I'm using. And I'll re-record like 2 or 3 times, just like a 2-second video before and after. And everyone's been really willing to kind of be a part of it.
Okay, so Fayth, I just want to go back to something you were mentioning. You were saying you had all sorts of tips and tricks on stories and things like that. Well, you can't say something like that and then not.
I know. I was going to try to go back to that. So when I post my reels to my stories, because some people only scroll stories, some people only scroll reels. So I like to always post my reel to my story. So something I'll do to try to also hit more of an audience is you can put words behind your videos. So I will usually tag my location. So Fort Collins, Colorado, I'll make that tag, and then I'll put 10 hashtags, because that's what stories typically allows, is 10 hashtags. So either hashtags for my area or hashtags on lashes, and then put that behind as well. And then if it's AW, I'll tag AW. So I do a location, a tag, and 10 hashtags, put that in small words behind my video, and then put my video on top of that, so I can hit a more wide audience.
That's brilliant.
It is brilliant.
We should just give you a round of applause and just end this right there. No, I'm just kidding.
Or you can do it and
Yes.
make text the same color as the background too.
Yes. And sometimes so all of my stories, I try to keep flush with one another. So I always use a black background. So how you can change the color of your background on your stories is you just go to draw, like you would draw with a color, and pick whatever color you want, and you tap and hold the background, and it'll change the color to whatever you want it to be.
Well, to wind up here, I'm going to give each of you just like a chance to just kind of finish up. If there's anything else you wanted to let people know on Reels or social media as a whole, let's go for it. Okay, Meg, and then Coranda, and then Fayth, will you just end it off for us?
I think the biggest thing, if you're going to take away anything from this, is it's okay to feel uncomfortable when you're making reels and you want to show off your personality. I've gotten so many clients from Instagram who have seen my reels, and when I meet them for the first time, they're like, I feel like I already know you. And that's exactly what I want my incoming clients to feel like. If they have found me off of social media, I want them to already kind of have a good knowledge of who I am and my personality and that kind of stuff, because you're going to attract clients who fit within your personality. And I think just being okay with a little self-expression and feeling awkward and definitely getting outside of your comfort zone will do wonders.
I love that so much. I think just like Meg said, like if you are your real self, then when people meet you, like everything will feel very genuine. Things will flow the way they're supposed to. I would say like the best thing you can do is take inspiration from the accounts that you like and get ideas and get, kind of the vibe that you're hoping for and pull that from other people, but don't ever try and copy another account. Like if you are trying to base your entire personality off of somebody else's account or somebody else's salon, you are missing out on yourself and your own authenticity, and B, like you will never be them as good as they are them. So it makes me really sad whenever I see lash girls that are like, oh, I'm, take a lot of inspiration from this account, and it is just like word for word, the same verbiage, the same filters, everything, because you're just missing out on you. So the best thing that you can do, in my opinion, on social media is just be yourself, like be dorky, be goofy. It's okay if you don't have the best pictures. It's okay if you don't have the best setup. It's okay if you don't have the nicest products. Everybody has to start somewhere. And the girls that you're comparing yourself to are probably years ahead of you. Like you'll get there. You do not need to rush and try and be them right now.
Agreed. I would say the biggest things I always tell everyone is to just be yourself, get out of your comfort zone, and just post. If you overthink it too much and you're not posting, then you're never going to hit an audience at all. So just getting out of your comfort zone, getting uncomfortable, not overthinking it, and just hitting that post button and being yourself will be your best advantage that you can do on social media. Being yourself and getting uncomfortable and just posting. Posting something is better than posting nothing.
I love that. And that is like the perfect way to end. Thank you guys so much, Meg, Cranda, Fayth, for joining us today. I hope everyone was able to take something away to help them as they are generating content for Instagram and their reels. And please make sure you're following us and listen to our other podcasts and all the great content that we provided.